All right, one thing I really wanted to mention is the pyramid when we start this movie. A pyramid, as you can see, has a wide base and a really top, skinny pinnacle. And I think this does a great job of representing, dentistry, what we do. Think about all these videos and all the training and everything that you go through, the dental school, the debt, the challenges that you face are all down here at the bottom. And really, we only spend a few seconds, even a few minutes a day, whether a week or anywhere, any other time, really spending time at the pinnacle. And that's when a patient's really pleased, really happy. But it's funny how these little moments, the pinnacles, make it worth it, all the work worth it in the base. So anyway, just a great, hopefully motivating factor as you've made it this far through all these videos. So a partial denture is a denture that's only partial. So it's only a few teeth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teeth, that are going to be more of a denture rather than, a whole complete denture. The same process for a partial denture is almost like for a complete denture. You'll have diagnostic impressions that'll be done. So once again, the very first appointment, it's all psychiatric. You're really talking to the patient a lot. You're mentioning all the different things that they're going to be, the challenges that you're going to face when you go through this. You will be able to get that pinnacle. You'll get those teeth at the end, but we're going to have to go through a lot of work to be able to get there. So the things that you're going to need is an upper and lower alginate impression tray, a green mixing bowl, and a paddle to mix up the impression material. Once again, you'll need 3 scoops for the upper, 2 scoops for the lower. I like to have everything measured out, so hopefully I can just go through it one time and be done, but oftentimes you may have to take more than one impression. And then you'll want a panoramic x-ray, kind of giving you a general picture of the teeth. So that way you know that the teeth that you're building on are going to last a very long time. Whenever we do things in dentistry, we're thinking in 5, 10, 15-year increments. We're not thinking in 5 to 10-day increments. We really want some of the things that we make to last a very, very long time. All right, so once again, you're going to start out with a patient discussion. You're just going to ask them if they have any questions about the procedure that you're going to make. And the one thing that's different about partial dentures than regular full complete dentures is that partial dentures, there's different kinds. There's kinds that you have metal that's the base, and then you have kinds that there's the pink acrylic is the base and the structural part of it. Most of the time, you'll be making metal ones. But sometimes if they can't afford the metal ones, then you'll be making the pink ones. But this is basically what you're going to do is just set them up for failure again. So you're just going to tell them, hey, listen, this is going to be really hard to use this denture. It's more psychiatric than anything. At first, you're going to hate us. This is more of a journey than an event. Unless you get implants, this is really difficult to wear. So same principles that we talked about with complete dentures and partial dentures are the same, where we really want to just set them up for failure because it really is difficult to wear. And if you set them up for failure, then they'll be ready to hit the ground running because it is something hard that they have to do. Once again, these are some of the taglines I like to use. I always mention you've been talking and eating one way for the last 30 to 60 years, and now you're going to change it. So it's going to be totally different. You're going to have to learn how to walk again. So same process as the complete denture. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks, 5 different appointments. Once again, you take the impressions the first appointment, you measure your bite, ensure the framework fits on the second appointment. The third, you try in their teeth in wax, and then make sure that they like the looks and we like the bite. Then on the 5th appointment, they finally get their, or the 4th appointment, they finally get their denture. And then number 5, then we usually have a week post-op visit where they can make sure that all the adjustments are needed and the partial fits great and that everything's been going well for them. So impressions. You'll take the upper and lower impressions and make sure that the doc approves of it. Then you'll want to try and port those impressions as soon as possible. And if you can't port it up as soon as possible, then you're going to want to try and make sure that you don't do too much time in between the time that you pour it and the time that you take the impression and you pour it. And if you do, then you want to make sure that you wrap it in a wet paper towel and make sure that you're good to go. Make sure that when you pour it, you cover all the borders, and we go over that in taking impressions. Then you'll have instructions from the lab. The instructions from the lab, got this thing that's bugging us here. There we go. Then you'll have the instructions to the lab that you'll send is you'll say, you'll write down all the patient information, and then you'll have the dentist fill out all the instructions on how to make the partial and how they want to do it. At this point, we're not doing shades or anything. It's just getting the framework and then the wax rims back. And then you're going to schedule the patient out 2 to 3 weeks, depending on which lab they're going to use, and they'll know the time frames on what they're going to do. So I would make sure that you understand from the dentist what lab they want to use, so that way you know when to schedule them out. And then you're going to be doing that vertical and centric relation, which is just going to be measuring their bite. And then you'll have the framework try-in appointment at the same time. So we try in the framework and we measure their bite all in the same appointment to hopefully save them some time. All right, so then you come to the second appointment. From the lab, you should receive the cast back, and you'll see that metal partial with the pink wax on it. And this is what you'll need for that appointment. So you'll need those things, plus a mirror explorer, a green-handled knife for them to make any adjustments to the wax trim. Then you'll have the blue bite registration material to make sure that the dentist is ready to be able to take the bite. And then also a shade guide. Once again, if this is a partial for front teeth, this is when you're going to want to really involve the patient to make sure that they know what shade of teeth to get. And a lot of times you're trying to match the existing shade. So unlike a complete denture where you say, yeah, we're going to try and do either national average or a little bit lighter, or a little bit darker, you're going to try and just match the teeth that are already there, because you're going to be hooking the partial onto the teeth. And then you're going to have the patient discussion. All right, last time we took impressions. Today we're just going to make sure that the structural part of that partial is going to fit really well. So that's the metal framework. And then we're going to measure your bite at the same time, so hopefully combine appointments. And every time you can tell them that we're trying to combine appointments as much as possible, it helps them and their patient experience as the specialist to make sure that we're trying to minimize their time in the dental chair as possible, because we know it's not their favorite place to be. Anyway, so you're going to measure their bite, and then you just tell them, hey, do you want purple teeth, right? Or Bronco's teeth, or whatever you want to say, just to kind of make it light. And if you always want to mention something, you could always mention we could put a gold tooth on there, or we could do a diamond in the tooth, which I have done to my sister-in-law. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make sure that it's a lot of fun. And then you'll see you in a couple more weeks to try in your teeth in wax to make sure everything looks great. So this is kind of how you'll do to prep the patient for the discussion for what's happened in the past and what you're going after in the future. So then the patient sits down, you have the discussion with them. The DDS will come in and ask them if they have any questions. When we'll try in the wax trim, you'll try in the framework, make sure it's fit, and then you'll use the blue bite material, have them bite down, and then you'll pick a shade with the dentist and the patient if needed, and then you're good to go. And then you can talk about if they're going to be using all their front teeth in their partial and they're using their back teeth to anchor it, then you can talk about the A3, A2, and A1, or you can say national average, a little bit lighter, or you can go to Hollywood with these teeth. So that's kind of how usually I do it. Once again, another really quick appointment, and then the instructions for the lab is you're going to send all that material that you just took, the impressions that you took, the bite registration, the framework, everything goes back, and you'll see how the lab wraps it to you. And usually it'll be on an articulator that goes up and down, and then you'll send that all back to the lab for them to take care of it. Anyway, so then you'll get that back. You'll fill out all the patient information, and then you will have the dentist just fill out all the instructions. And then you'll schedule them for 2 weeks later for them to add the teeth. So you'll get them 2 weeks later for just a 10-10-10 appointment for them to try in their teeth in wax. So then they come in for their third appointment, and then this is what we call the wax try-in or the aesthetic try-in appointment. And from the lab, you should have received all the impressions back, everything that you sent, you should get back. And the only thing that we are going to notice a difference of is in the partial, you'll now see the teeth, and then they're in wax. You'll need a mirror explorer, and a green-handled knife, and then you'll also need a patient hand mirror to make sure that they can see what product they're getting and they can inspect it, because we really want to make sure that we always make sure the patient is happy with what they're getting. So patient discussion, this is something that you'll talk to the patient about when they come in. Hey, you're on the third appointment. Way to go. You've made it this far. Now you get to see what they actually going to look like. And then next time you're going to finally get your teeth. And then you can just tell them in 1 to 2 more weeks we'll finally get your teeth, and we can either call you or we can just schedule you 2 weeks out to make sure that it's back for when the lab gets here. And then you can always mention, hey, we got those purple teeth in there, and you can kind of joke with them about that. Or make sure we got the diamond in the tooth. So you'll have that patient discussion with them. The doctor will come in and ask them if they have any questions, and then he'll try them in, make sure that the teeth look great, make sure the patient loves it, and then you can reassure the patient that it looks great. And a lot of times, for some reason, they love the patient experience specialist telling them that it's great. A lot of times, if it's females or males, they don't care what another guy thinks. They think what the patient experience specialist thinks is what's awesome. So make sure that don't underestimate the power of what you can say and influence on a patient. So you'll write down in the lab slip, all the patient information. Make sure you're sending it back to the right lab. Check with the dentist if you have any issues on that. You'll write down all the patient information, and the dentist will write down the instructions, and then you'll schedule the patient for 2 weeks later, or you can just have them call when we get the denture back as soon as we can. So that's how that last appointment goes. And then you'll get the actual time where you're going to deliver the denture. So this is appointment number 4. So this is 6 weeks later. And then you'll have, from the lab, you'll get back the denture, and it'll be nice and shiny and smooth. And I usually talk to the patient about how much they're going to love their teeth and how smooth they are. But that there's still going to be a journey that they're going to have to learn how to use it and how it works. So from the lab, you'll get that back. Once again, only a few things that you'll need: mirror and explorer. But this time you might need a slow handpiece and an acrylic bird to make sure that if there's any adjustments to make, that they can make that. Then you'll have a patient hand mirror so that they can make sure they look at it and love it. So you'll talk to them about, hey, you're finally going to get your teeth today. You made it this far, and you can tell them it'll be worth the journey. That's for sure. So they're going to get their teeth. They're going to try it in, and then if they want to come back at any time for adjustments, they're welcome to come back. All those adjustments and everything are free. They're included in the cost of the partial. So you'll have the discussion with them, tell them they're going to love their teeth, how it is going to be a bit of a journey, but that we're glad that they made it this far to get there. Then you're going to have those few things out ready for the dentist in case it needs it: the mirror and explorer and an acrylic burr. And then you will make sure that they all are happy with the denture, and then you'll schedule them for a 1-week follow-up just to make sure that they're happy with their denture. And that'll be a really quick appointment. So very similar to a complete denture, but those are the 4 different appointments that you'll go through. Once again, takes about 6 to 8 weeks to kind of get into that, but hopefully during those 6 to 8 weeks, you'll be able to see all the different steps of dentures as they're made, so that way you can be a great asset in helping the patient have a great experience with getting their denture.